Good morning. Happy coffee talk. It's a frozen Wednesday. So all that crazy wind and rain that we've had over the past week, it left and in its wake came the cold. So it is, I don't know, it's in the 20s, I think. And all of that wetness is frozen. It's one of the things that Washington is kind of unique because it doesn't get insanely cold here, at least not where I live. It's not extreme. It's not like a Dakota or something or Montana, but it does get cold, but it stays wet. And that wetness makes everything look sparkly and it's really beautiful. And so anyways, today is the first day of that sparkly, frosty air. And so I'm kind of enjoying it. And I'm enjoying that the wind has stopped. Um, Grateful to be inside, though. It's good to look outside at the freezing cold. It's nice to be inside in my sweater and having coffee. So this coffee mug this morning was a gift from Marlena from New Mexico. And it's got this really cool marking on it. And I am drinking the Sensibus coffee that I've been telling you about. This was a gift from Coach Terabanta, and I am going to drink it until it's gone. So, coffee talk message this morning, I shared a post yesterday on my Instagram, and it was about this book Effortless that I've read recently. And I want to tell you first my philosophies on books, and then I want to give you this specific takeaway. So first off, I think we can get into a mode where if you're reading kind of um, nonfiction books, things that are either self-help or pushing you or inspiring you, those kind of things, you can get into this mode where you just read more and more and more and more. And I feel like there are probably takeaways from each one that maybe you remember, but if you don't actually adopt the some of the philosophies from the book or start to incorporate them, then you're just kind of going in one ear and out the other. You're just consuming for consumption's sake. I feel like most of the time we need to find 5 to 7 of those kind of books that we can really use as anchors and as something that we don't just read one time, but that we read many times, and then we master some of the pieces of the book and really incorporate them. I mean, how many things do you read and you're like, that's a great idea, but you never actually act on it? So Effortless, this book by Greg McKeown, is one of those books for me right now. It's in my top 7, where I've already read it probably 3 times because I really want to adopt some of these principles into my life. I talk about them and I teach them, and then I also think about them and reflect. So one, before I even tell you the message that I want to share, I love that philosophy with books, and I wanted to recommend it to you. Keep reading, but find your circle of 7 and then really study those. Study them and make them a part of your life, because then you're really benefiting from the teachings that are in the book. So yesterday I shared from Effortless a couple of my big takeaways and that they apply to your fitness journey. And so I wanted to share a couple of them with you. The first one I shared is that rituals are habits with a soul. I love this one because it's about incorporating joy into the things that are necessities for us to do all the time. Another one that I shared is after I complain, I'll say something I'm grateful for. This is another way to reframe positive thinking, but doing it in a way where you don't have to necessarily defeat the negative stuff first. You just add on to it, and then eventually the add-on replaces the negative. So I love that one too. Past a certain point, more doesn't equal better for your results. And then only do today what you're going to recover from tomorrow. I think about this all the time these days. But the one I wanted to share with you this morning is when our brains are at full capacity, everything feels harder. When your brain is full, everything is harder. This is something that applies to you and your fitness journey and your efforts to take better care of yourself, your efforts to eat better, to move more, to be kinder to yourself. When your brain is filled to the max, it will be harder than it has to be. It's kind of mind-blowing because sometimes those things feel hard anyway. Even something as simple as drinking water. So if I gave you a simple job and I said, I want you to drink these 5, bottles of water today. I want you to take your water bottle and I want you to fill it up 5 times and drink it. It sounds so simple. It sounds like, okay, yep, that's a given. I can check that box and it will be done. But if your brain is overflowing with tasks, with stress, with other people's nonsense, with things that shouldn't occupy your brain, like endless social media, with, shows, with everything, your brain is filled to the max. Even something as simple as drinking water can get hard. 1, because there's no space for it in your head. 2, because you are occupied. So you're thinking constantly about everything. So when you think about water, it doesn't feel like there's time to think about it. But what we have done to ourselves is fill our brain with things that are not essential and things that don't get the privilege of occupying space in our mind, but we allow them to anyway. And so one of the things that you can do, and again, inspired by this book, Effortless, is start to clear and edit things from your mind. Do the work of creating space. Because when you create space in your mind so that you have the capacity to think about things, you're not constantly maxed out, then you will have more capacity to take better care of yourself. You're going to be able to think about it and prioritize it. You're going to be able to make a strategy that actually makes sense. I mean, think about it this way. If I'm like, hey, I want you to think about what you want to have for dinner this week, and let's make a grocery list and let's get it ordered. Also, that sounds reasonable, right? Reasonably simple. But if you are maxed out and your brain is overflowing and full, that task is going to feel very hard. And you might not even be able to do it the way that you need to do it because you're not really considering all the things that what's going to happen on Tuesday. Well, you didn't even think of it because your brain's so full. So creating space is how we make doing the most important things that we want to do, like taking care of ourselves, being with our family, pushing, like doing the things we want to do. It's how we make it easier. You have to create space in your head. So how the heck do you do it? There's a couple ways. 1, I'm not your girl on meditation, P.S. This isn't something that I would even remotely claim to be an expert at. However, I know for a fact that by taking time to quiet your mind for a couple minutes a day, for 5 minutes a day, maybe working up to 10 minutes, that can create space without doing anything else. And so I think that has to be said first. Quieting the mind deliberately and intentionally, giving yourself space. That's one thing that you can do. The second thing you can do is edit. This is one I do feel like I am an expert in. Edit. That means looking with a thoughtful eye at what currently is allowed to take up space in your mind. If it's in there, you are allowing it. So what are you allowing to take up space in your mind? And then we edit and say, you know what? This one, I have to leave it. This one, it can go. Why does it get to take up space in my mind? Because I open that email when I get home from the end of my day. So I allow it to take up space in my mind because I keep opening emails. So I'm not doing that anymore. Emails are going off at a certain time. And so you have to, with a critical eye and thoughtful, look at what takes up space in your mind, what is filling up your brain, and then edit. Take things out. Take things out. That's your second step. Third step, plan white space into your calendar. What's white space? White space is designated time for your brain to be free. So for coaching and for fitme, I have white space in my calendar for fitme. On Mondays in the afternoon, I have white space, which means that I don't have calls. I don't have a thing I have to do. I don't have to coach. I don't have to do anything. But that white space time, I can do whatever I want for fitme in there, whether it's work on a program, whether it's build out a piece of content, whether it's have a follow-up conversation. I can do whatever I feel like is essential in that time, but it's because it's blocked out. It's free brain time. You might need white space in your real life. Time that is scheduled and allocated for you to be flexible. It sounds weird. It seems like you should be flexible all the time. But if you are anything like me, that's not the case. You actually have to schedule the time that you can be flexible. That will help create space in your mind. So those are the things that I want you to think about doing, and then pick one and do it. It's nice to hear me, right? Like, it's nice to just file this away. But like I was telling you about the books, if we don't make something a practice, it's just an exercise of reading. It's not adopting any of the principles and incorporating them in our life. And so I want you to take one of these homework assignments, either the meditation and quiet time, the hardcore edit of what is taking up space in your mind, and the white space strategy. And I want you to incorporate them. And I want you to see how hard your other tasks that felt hard before, see if they get easier. They should, and they will. So that's my coffee talk message for this morning. Again, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me each morning, and hope you're having your coffee too while I'm having mine, and listening to these thoughts and reflections, because these are in my head anyway and in the mornings. And so it makes me happy to get to share them with you. And it also makes me happy to hear back from you. So if these are helpful, if you like coffee talk, let me know. I can't see you or hear you. And so it's like I get to talk to you, but then I love hearing back. It really means a lot to me. So if you're in the Facebook group, comment below. If you're listening on the podcast, shoot me a DM on Instagram, Christy May Campbell, and let me know that you're listening. So thanks as always for plugging in. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing day.